This is The Runwave, candid chats with real runners about topics that affect the running community. Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Runwave podcast. I am your host, Kim. It's been a while. If this is your first time tuning in, welcome to the show. I appreciate you being here. If you are a return listener, welcome back to the show after my large hiatus. If you haven't already done so, please subscribe to The Runwave on your favorite podcast app. That way you are notified each and every time I upload a new episode of the show. First things first. I know I've been away a while, but let's do a little bit of housekeeping. The Runwave has a brand new YouTube channel, so all visual episodes of the show. If you didn't know, this is a podcast, but I have a visual component of the show as well. Those will live on the new Runwave YouTube channel. I will link that down below. All of the old episodes are still on my personal YouTube channel, Straight Kim, STR8 Kim. So you can see the library of Runwave episodes on my channel still, but all new episodes going forward will live on the new Runwave YouTube channel. So, how did y'all like my new intro music? I thought I've been gone a while and it was time for a change. The old music was great. I loved it. It served its purpose for the last year or so that the Runwave has been here, but I wanted a fresh start and some new music. So I hope you guys like the new beats that are playing at the beginning of each and every show. Also, the Runwave has merch. I'm wearing it right now, this Ride This Wave tee, but we also have other tees, hoodies, things like that, and everything is on sale. 30% off right now on the Runwave website. Go to therunwave.com/shop, or if you just go to the Runwave on the toolbar, there's a link to shop, and you can click on that and you can shop the Runwave gear, 30% off of everything. You don't need a coupon code, and as always, free shipping, and everything is packaged by me with love. If you go back on the Runwave Instagram, there is a video of me packaging up your stuff. So it's all done with care. It's beautiful. There's no janky packaging here. Your labels are dope. Everything is cool coming from the Runway. So support the show. Help me keep the lights on and purchase some Runwave merch. All right. So where have I been? That's the number one question a lot of people have been asking me. If you follow my personal Instagram, you know I'm still here. I've been here, but I haven't uploaded a Runwave episode in like 3 months, I think. Someone just emailed me the other day and they said, what happened to the Runwave? And I'm like, nothing. We're still here. I'm still here. I'm just on a little break. And, I was going to take like a 1 month break from the podcast just to regroup because it was going for so long. I took weeks off here and there, but nothing for a prolonged period of time. So I wanted to take a little bit of a break, but then summer came around, hot girl summer, and your girl just wanted to live life and not have to worry about recording and uploading an episode every week. So I just took some time off, and it felt good to just be able to chill and, not feel pressured by deadlines, getting this episode out every Wednesday. And, I just needed a break, and everyone needs a break once in a while so that we don't burn out. So it was great for me to just take some time off, just kind of watch what's going on lightly in the running community because I took time off for running as well. But yeah, that's what happened. I started traveling the beginning of summer, and the Runwave isn't some Mickey Mouse podcast. I put a lot of time and effort into the production of this show. You can hear that it sounds great. I invest in, the materials that I use to produce the show. The show has a visual element as well. It takes time and effort to put on these productions, and it's just me. It's only Kim doing this. So, a break was necessary. I took the break. I'm back. and just be on the lookout for new Run Wave content from here on out. I'm not going to promise you'll have an episode every single week. I'm going to do my best. I'm still just one woman who still has a life outside of this podcast. This is a hobby for me. I love doing it. I love bringing you guys the running news and any controversy, good or bad, in the running community. So just be sure to tune in every week. I'm back, y'all. Now, on the running front, I just wanted to give a little update on myself. Where do I start? So I was supposed to run the London Marathon this October. That's not happening. I fundraised for London. It seems like so long ago. I think it was in 2019 when I did my fundraising for the marathon. And I was supposed to run it April 2020, but we all know like the pandemic happened, so that wasn't happening. And they changed the race to October and I was switched to then. But early on in the year, it's not that I wasn't comfortable. Well, I kind of was uncomfortable, but I didn't think that, it was right for me to travel to London to try to make this race happen because, okay, y'all probably like, but Kim, you did travel to Europe this summer. I did travel to Europe this summer. If you follow me on Instagram, I traveled to Europe this summer and I had a great time, but it was also an extremely stressful time because, first of all, I had to get a COVID test to fly over there. That's number one. I switched hotels 3 times. So every time I went to a new destination, another COVID test was needed or proof of vaccination. Most European hotels didn't take the U.S. proof of vaccination because y'all be out here forging vaccination cards. So we had to get COVID tests. In August, I took 5 COVID tests. And you also need a COVID test to come home. And it's just, when we're home, we're safe. I'm safe, but there are times when I'm in groups, but it's not a large group, I take my mask up and try to keep my distance. You really can't do that when you're away because there is the fear that you might contract COVID and you won't be able to come home. So that's kind of the reason that I didn't want to run the London Marathon, and everything has just been so up in the air. No one wants to book flights and have that canceled and you're stuck with a credit or you're not getting a refund. Hotels are just so, like, they're not as easy with cancellation as they once were. They've gotten hip to the game, although it's not a game. When I was booking my hotels from Portugal, I booked my hotels like 3 or 4 days before I left. And my last hotel, I booked it while we were in Portugal because the refund policies were crazy. They were either you had to pay for 1 day up front, or as soon as you book, the rate was non-cancelable. So it was just a lot going on. There's still a lot going on in the world. And I just felt better and safer if I kept my behind right in New York. So London Marathon is out. I deferred to April 2021. I know we've been saying this for over a year. Hopefully things will be better by then. But shoot, with this Delta variant running rampant, we don't know what to expect. So, hopefully by 2022, I defer to 2022. Hopefully by then, I don't know, the world will be a better, safer place, but just who knows what's going to happen by then. So hopefully you see your girl in London 2022. I was also supposed to run the New York City Marathon this year. I'm a hot mess, I started the training for the marathon and travel started happening. I started missing training runs. I got sick. I didn't have COVID, but I did get sick. And, I lost like 2.5, 3 weeks of training. And I just decided it ain't for me. 2021 just is not the running year for me. So, it all worked out in the end. I did one race early on in the year with Pace Runs, a New York based company, which is Black owned, and I was happy to support them. But, other than that, no races on the schedule for me for 2021. Hopefully, I'll come back strong in 2022 and get on a regular running regimen again and, do some races, knock some of these states down that I would like to do. My 50 state quest has been cut short for like 2 years. I'm a hot mess, y'all. I'm a mess, but hopefully 2022 brings bigger and brighter things for the running community. Okay, on to some running news. It was just announced last week that the Tokyo Marathon that was supposed to take place in October has been postponed to March 6th of 2022. Now, the Tokyo Marathon for 2022 was scheduled on March 6, 2022, and they have canceled that race completely. So the 2021 race was moved to 2022, and the 2022 race has been canceled. The Tokyo Marathon did issue a press release, and this is what it said. With the COVID-19 Countermeasure Committee and the COVID-19 Investigative Committee, the Tokyo Marathon has devoted much effort and time to deliver a safe, secure event during the COVID-19 pandemic. However, even only a month away from the event, Tokyo is still under a state of emergency. With the difficulty to forecast the trend of COVID-19 and involve restrictions on mobility, it is decided at today's board meeting that Tokyo Marathon 2021, originally scheduled for Sunday, October 17th, 3 weeks away, will be postponed to Sunday, March 6, 2022. In addition, all related events, the Expo, Friendship Run, Family Run, are reorganized to be held in March of 2022. With today's decision, it is also decided that the Tokyo Marathon 2022, expected on March 6, 2022, will not take place. For all runners who have an entry to Tokyo Marathon 2022, we will follow up with you on details and options soon. Everyone's patience and cooperation in this matter is greatly appreciated. Blah, blah, blah. And there's more. I'll leave a link to this press release in the notes of this show so you can read it yourself. Now, while I understand why the marathon was canceled, I know if I was a runner who was registered to run this race in 3 weeks, I would be pissed the F off. Number one, we just saw the 2021 Olympics play out in Japan, right? This past summer. At the Olympics, there were no spectators. The athletes were essentially locked down in the Olympic Village. They couldn't go anywhere. They couldn't do anything. So it was like to the games, back to the village, to practice, back to the village. And they didn't have any support other than their coaches. Their families couldn't even come to the Olympics. So how on earth did Tokyo think that they were going to pull this marathon off, especially with so many people that were coming in from outside of the country? I just don't understand. And to cancel the event 3 weeks before the event is just absolutely crazy, because if I was going, I would have had my flight booked, right? My hotel probably would have been booked as well. And we all know in America, like the American airliners, they have policies now where you can cancel your flight or change your flight without charges, but you don't get your money back. You get a credit. So if you booked with an airline that was not an American-based airline, I don't know what their stipulations are. So you could be stuck with losing your money for your flight, a credit for an airline that you may never use. Who knows what you'll be stuck with? But geez, I think to cancel an event 3 weeks before is just madness. They should have canceled this event in the summer when they saw that there was no spectators at the freaking Olympics. Like, what? I don't get it. And I just feel bad for all of the foreigners. If you're in Tokyo, okay, fine. It's canceled. You live there. You can go to the new date. But if you're not in Tokyo, it's a mess. It is a freaking mess. And like I mentioned earlier with the hotel cancellation policies, you may be stuck with the fees for the hotel, either one night or their entire stay. Maybe you paid up front. Maybe you got a package for your air and hotel. You're now stuck with either a credit or losing out on all the fees that you pay for your accommodation. So yeah, this is why, I was just staying away from racing in 2021 because it's just a crapshoot at this point. Everything was fine 2 months ago. Then the Delta variant came and things picked up again. So we just never know how this thing is going to play out. And God, I encourage everybody, stop registering for races that are not down the block, because you just don't know what's going to happen. I mean, we have no, and on top of that, the policies of these races, they have incorporated COVID wording into their terms and conditions that we don't ever read. Who reads the terms and conditions of the race? I don't read the terms and conditions of the race. I just go scroll down and check the box and click continue. No one reads the terms and conditions of the race. So I just feel for everyone that registered for Tokyo, everyone that's been training. You've been training for 16 weeks, 12 to 16 weeks for this marathon. And it's poof, be gone. And you don't know what's going to happen. And sheesh, what about the people for 2022? Like, their marathon is completely canceled. So that will probably happen in 2023. And it's just a mess. And me, I want to run Tokyo too. I want to get my 6 stars. And when am I going to have a chance to run it? 2025? I don't even know if I'm going to be running in 2025. I don't know if I'm going to be running tomorrow. So it's like, my quest to get my 6 stars might be a wrap. And on top of that, they're interviewing for another city, Cape Town, to become, the 7th star, which, God, that would be dope to run the Cape Town Marathon. But, with the last, Singapore was in the running to become an Abbott, the 7th star in the Abbott World Majors. And I don't know what happened, but they dropped out of it. And now Cape Town is in the running. But that can take like 2 years. But who knows? You might see your girl running Tokyo in 2030. Next up, the Berlin Marathon is set to take place Sunday, September 26th, which is this coming weekend. I've seen some of my Instagram friends catching flights out to Berlin. And Berlin always has a hashtag. This year, their hashtags are Berlin Legend and Restart Running. I think Restart Running is a great hashtag, not for only this race, but just for running, period, because things have been so slow. Picking up, but just slowly kind of getting there. So this is the first world major marathon that's taken place since COVID. So we're really going to be watching, what's going down in this marathon, how they're going to pull it off. I'm here for it all. So I'll be on Instagram. Actually, I'm going to have to get up in the middle of the night because there's a time difference. So when they're running, we'll be sleeping. So I'm going to have to set an alarm and get up and see what's going on. Because somebody going to be on live broadcasting from the Berlin Marathon. Someone's going to be on live and I want to see how it's going down. So for Berlin, there are a lot of rules that are in place due to COVID. So firstly, start line requirements. All participants must be vaccinated, recovered, or have a negative PCR test. This PCR test must be done at the expo. So they're not taking your 72-hour COVID test that you took in America or wherever you're from before you boarded the plane. So you have to take another PCR test when you get to the expo. Now, if I remember correctly, when I ran Berlin, I think we left here Thursday, so we got there Friday. And I think we did the expo on Friday. So chances are you're going to take your PCR test Thursday or Friday at the Berlin Marathon Expo. And if you booked your test in advance, it's €38, which is like 40 something bucks, US bucks. So I don't know what the price is if you didn't book in advance. I'm sure it's going to be more. When I was in Portugal, a PCR test was €65. I didn't have to pay for that, luckily, but I'm sure it's going to be somewhere in that amount if you didn't book your PCR test in advance. Now, regarding refund policies, they say if you get COVID-19 or if you are in quarantine, a refund of your registration fee is only possible if you purchase insurance covering this. So I'm not sure how much the insurance is, but if you contract COVID between the time you got off of the plane or left your house to the time that you took that PCR test at the Berlin Marathon Expo, they ain't giving you a refund unless you have insurance. So I hope y'all got that insurance when you did your registration. They also say this year's start and finish areas as well as the course will be very similar to previous events, with the start and finish on the Boulevard Strasse des 17 Juni. between the Brandenburg Gate and the Kleiner Stern roundabout. So the start is going to be the same. And I want to tell you, the Berlin Marathon, Berlin was my least favorite city that I visited in my running journey. I'm going to put that out there. But the start to the Berlin Marathon is like the best start ever. They, you know what? I'm going to play it. If you are watching this, you'll be able to see it because I'll put it up on the screen. That's clapping. Now, I don't know what they were saying, but I was clapping along with them. And if you watch the video, we are like bumper to bumper in there. There's like no room. Everyone's squeezed in. So if they're saying that the start is going to be the same, I'm sure that's how it's going to be this coming Sunday. So it's going to be interesting to see how that all plays out. But again, that was like the best start of a race that I have ever experienced. Also in the rules for the start, besides the race number, you need a participant wristband, which I remember getting that. They give it to you at the expo, and I kept that wristband on for like a month until I had to go out to an event where I had to wear a dress. That's when I cut it off. So it's a pretty dope wristband that you get. And you also need a COVID status wristband that you get from the Marathon Expo, which proves that you are either vaccinated, recovered, or tested according to their specifications. It also says, please remember your mask. So I'm guessing that you have to wear your mask while you're in the start area waiting to start the race. They also say there'll be plenty of refreshments suitable for all athletes on the route. So I take that to mean that the water stations are the same, and the water stations in Berlin are great. They are super long. They serve hot tea. I didn't drink it when I was there because I didn't want to get sick. I didn't know what was in their tea, but they do serve hot tea. And if your race was like mine, which was cold and rainy, you're probably going to take a sip of that hot tea. I didn't want to take the chance, so I skipped the hot tea, but I heard that it was pretty good. Also, spectators are allowed, but spectators on the course must keep a medical mask on and appropriate distance of 1.5 meters, which I don't know meters. I'm guessing that's 6 feet. So social distancing on the course for spectators, and you must wear masks. As for spectators at the start line, because I remember there was like a little area where you came in, but you know, after the start and finish, but that was athletes only. But right outside of that, spectators were allowed. So it says only spectators who can show a COVID-19 proof that they have been vaccinated or have recovered or can show a negative PCR test time from 10 a.m. on Friday, or a rapid test from 3 p.m. on Saturday from accredited test centers may enter the start and finish areas. So they want everyone to be vaccinated or COVID negative. So it seems like Berlin Marathon is taking the necessary precautions to have a safe race. I'm not sure how many participants they're having this year. We'll see once the final tally comes in. But yeah, I know the running world will be watching to see how the Berlin Marathon takes place. First world major during COVID. So if you've been under a rock, which I hope you haven't, you might know that all the world majors have practically been pushed to October, with the exception of New York City, which is always in November. So after Berlin, Chicago Marathon is happening on October 10th. Boston Marathon is the next day on October 11th. So I'm wondering how many people are going to make the trek from Chicago to Boston to do back-to-back marathons. And then the New York City Marathon is happening on November 7th. So quite a jam-packed racing season that we're going to have. And hopefully it goes off without a hitch. Lastly, there is a petition going on change.org. It is for international runners who would like to run the New York City Marathon, that are registered to run the New York City Marathon. So the petition says we are non-U.S. residents who want to run the New York City Marathon of 2021. Now, the petition says, due to the current travel ban, a lot of inbound traffic to the U.S. is not allowed. For thousands of runners around the world who have a valid ticket 50 days out, it is still uncertain whether their training efforts will be lost or even whether they'll get their money back, greater than $500. Should they be unable to enter the country? All this while large parts of the world have reached a higher vaccination rate compared to the U.S. You know we ignorant in the U.S., y'all, and you got all these Republicans running around and shoot, I saw a funeral home with a freaking truck advertised not to get vaccinated. They want y'all business. They want y'all to die from this disease so they can get more business. So yeah, the U.S. is behind in vaccinations. They also say we believe vaccinated people impose no risk to health of Americans, which is BS, because even if you're vaccinated, you can still get COVID. You might not get, severely ill from it, but you can still get COVID if you're vaccinated. So I'm going to need y'all to stop this. Exceptions on the travel ban to be allowed for people with a valid New York City Marathon ticket, especially those running for charity. So essentially, they want to be allowed, to enter the United States. I don't know how that's going to happen, and I really don't understand the purpose of this petition, because if the government says y'all can't enter, then y'all can't enter. I'll leave a link for this petition down below so y'all can read it and sign it if you want to support, these international runners who want to run the New York City Marathon, like all of us want to run marathons. But I saw this petition posted in a group that I'm in on Facebook. And, someone said, did a New York City Marathon offer free deferrals at some point? And the answer to that is yes. You could have changed to 2022 or 2023 at no additional cost. But if you chose to run in 2021 and something happened, no matter what it is, remember I said that races have added this COVID verbiage to their terms and conditions. So if you chose 2021 and the race was canceled, well, not the race canceled, because New York Road Runners, they'll give you your money back if the race was canceled or let you defer. But if a travel ban was in place, if your country is on the red list and can't enter, the U.S., whatever, then, that was it. You chose what you chose and you were bound to your choice. So, I can kind of feel what these people are going through because, I did the same thing with London. I chose the first available day because when we went home from work for COVID, they told us 2 weeks. We'll be back in 2 weeks. And, a year and a half later, we're still going through this. So I can understand why some people would have chosen, the next available date because you want to get your majors done. You're healthy now, but running is so finicky sometimes. Who knows if you'll come across an injury? I don't know what's going to happen a year from now. I can only tell you what's going on today. And probably if I was in their shoes, I probably would have chose November 2021 as well because we thought we would be done with this by now, but we're still going through it. Like, something's got to give. Something's got to give. But I think these races and these race directors, we know that you're making a lip, not New York Road Runners, because New York Road Runners got money. Don't get it twisted. They pay their CEOs $500,000 a year. New York Road Runners has money, but they can afford to give refunds and defer people. They can afford it. Their race has 50,000 runners. They can afford it. I know smaller races, they can afford it. But God, there has to be some kind of give. I don't know. Or y'all just need to stop registering for races. Stop registering for races. That's the only way that you can get what you want is not registering for races. Run locally, run with your local running club. The clubs are out again. I'm not running with my club as of yet, but the clubs are out again. Run with your local running club. You don't have to race. Racing is not required. You want to race. And when you've decided to choose these races and then there's a travel ban in place, you have to live with that travel ban. It sucks. I hate it. We all hate it, but it is what it is. So good luck to you international runners wanting to come to the U.S. to run the New York City Marathon. I hope that you get in and, get another star knocked off of your belt. All right. I want to thank you guys for tuning in to this episode of the Runway Podcast. I will be back next week with a very special interview, and a lot more great people will appear on this show for the remainder of 2021. So let me know what topics you want me to talk about. If you want me to bring the Run Crew series back for, a few weeks. If there's somebody that you think would be a good interviewee, hit me up, send me an email, or DM me on Instagram. So I want to thank you again for tuning into this episode of the Runway Podcast, and I will catch y'all on the next one. Later. Thank you so much for tuning in to this episode of The Runwave. If you are a runner that has a story to tell, feel free to email hello@therunwave.com or shoot me a DM on Instagram @therunwave. Don't forget to follow The Runwave on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. We are The Runwave on all platforms. Subscribe to our email list. It is listed down below in the notes of this show. And subscribe to The Runwave on YouTube. The visual episode of this show will be posted there.